So I'm still waiting for you guys to connect. I'm still waiting for you to connect because as I can see I'm the only one here. Yeah, so thus far there are four people live. Thank you, thank you. So there are four people down to two. So today is a nice day. Today is a great day, and I'm very glad to have you here. And as many as would join later, I would want to welcome you all, and probably probably so I want to know if I'm audible enough. Yeah, thanks, Ellen. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I want to know if I'm audible enough because I don't have my audio devices well set. What I have right now is, hey, how you doing? Yeah, so what I have right now is just to go by. Yeah, 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 100%. Thank you. Yeah, so earlier on, I I was expecting to know if you have something specifically you want me to talk about, and I can be able to speak on topics involving linguistics or languages, and also topics involving history and and fun stuff, like play stuff. Yeah, someone said I'm not audible. Um, so what I have right now is not so loud, but I think I'll do my best to speak louder as much as possible. So, um, do you have something specifically you want me to talk about? Like, yep. So 80% says I'm audible, and 20% says no. So I really don't know. You just have to manage it. Yeah. So thank you for being present. And yeah, by by the way, I'm Kamba by the name, but by name, and I am very aware that you all are here to support me, and I'm very glad to have you all because it's a very special day. And uh, well, yeah. So the vote is going up, down, up, down. Some say that I'm audible enough, and others are saying that I'm not audible enough. So um, I want to know, like, what do you think would have been the official language of America if English was not being used as a language of government? And by the way, what do you think is the American official language? Does America have an official language? I don't want you to use Google. Just from what you know, I I want to know the depth of your knowledge in terms of languages. And by the way, do you know that the United States has one of the highest numbers or number of languages spoken by any country in the world? Yes, many immigrant languages are spoken in the American territory, and those languages were brought in by immigrants from Europe and Asia, from Africa, and they all make up what we have today. Um, Even though these languages are many. Yeah, hello Zidane. Hello, hello El Joki. Hi. And unfortunately, I need to sharpen my Hangul reading skills because I don't know much about Hangul. I tried as much as possible to learn it, but it's been some time since I stopped learning it. Together with the Pinyi. Pinyi is quite much. Hello Zidane. Hi Zidane. Greetings. Nice to have you here. So, and as you may know, the Hangul actually is one of the favorite alphabets in the world. because it's, according to linguists, very, very apt in capturing the sounds of the Korean language. The Hangul was a mastercraft of the Korean king in the 16th century or thereabouts. And although the alphabet was developed a long time ago, it wasn't really used as much as it was used today due to the dominance of the pinyin. And today, in most Korean texts, we find both pinyin and hangul being used, even though in North Korea we have more of pinyin, or rather more of hangul or chisungul than in South Korea, which is more flexible. Yeah, Japan has three letters. Really, Japanese uses a modified form of pinyin. Yeah, Japan has the hiragana. Japan has the what do you call the other, katakana, and yeah, it's complex, quite complex. And well, there's one I noticed in Japan of late. You can be able to represent the letters or the words spoken in other languages in the Japanese language using the, is it the hiragana or katakana? Uh, yeah, I think hiragana, but it's not. It's not an alphabet, so to say. It's it's a syllabary wherein you can be able to capture sounds like ha, ka, ko. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so um, for one to study Japanese, outside of the complexity of the language, one would have to study the alphabet first, and studying the alphabet, it's another series on its own. And to actually study pinyin, I would really be glad to learn more about pinyin. Wow, wow! Thank you for joining. So, thank you for joining from Japan. Yeah. So Japan is actually a very nice country with friendly people. Um, Last year I met two friends from Okinawa. Um, they speak the Uchanaguchi language, and they are very, quite passionate about the language. And I know that Japan has more than two or more than a language. You have the Ainu language up there at Sapporo, and towards the Russian territory there in Sakhalin. Although the Japanese language or Nippon, yeah, it's the official language. Wow, wow, 10 times Okinawa. Yeah, but I have really not been there. But I think very soon I would visit there and meet with my two friends. Yeah, so um, one of my colleagues last year, he made a joke about the Okinawan language or the Okinawan people, that the Japanese usually make fun of them about their drinking habit. Yeah, kind of like Germans. Germans who drink so much. Yeah, yeah, I knew very close to Russia, and during the World War, the Second World War, sorry, the First World War or the Japanese Russian War in 1905, the Japanese occupied the Sakhalin Islands and much of Russia, mm, and the Ainu, the Koreans, the Chinese, especially the Manchu, they are also found in the western part or the eastern part of Russia. Yeah. So I was surprised last week or last month to discover that the Korean language actually is spoken in Russia. I mean, the modern Russia, and as a result of the war, um, or thereabouts, that's First World War, thereabouts, I can't remember. Some Koreans were moved to Central Asia around Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, or thereabouts. And today there are Korean speaking populations in Central Asia, apart from the boundary area with China. Yes, yes. Like history and language can really not be separated. These two are intertwined because I also discovered that there was the Jewish autonomous region. I heard Jewish autonomous region. I was thinking that the Jewish autonomous region would be found somewhere close to Moldova or Ukraine, but to my greatest surprise, to my greatest surprise, uh, it's located right at the boundary with China and Russia. Uh, you know, and one who doesn't know much about it, discovering about that would be like, wow, wow, how comes, because when you look at the Turkic people who who are located around Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, you see that facially they have the Southeast Asian facial features, but the language they speak is Turkic, and religion-wise, they are different from Southeast Asia, and you wonder why, how, you know. It's quite a beautiful piece when you read history and relate it with language. You won't be able to stop, when you start reading all those stuff, and it becomes very interesting when you begin to watch movies that relate to what you have been reading for a long time. Personally, I started studying history um, approximately in the year 2007, 2006, 2007, uh, because during during one of the classes, our French teacher was talking about the Renaissance in France, and she was speaking about the French national anthem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The relationship between Turkic countries. Yeah, the moon and the star. The Turks actually said that that symbol is actually a native symbol, is native to them, and is uh, culturally attached, to the Turkic nations. And yeah, um, right now I'm in the school, and I think I would have to find another venue because there is a lecture soon going to start in the class I'm located. and I think I'll just be talking as I move around so that the noise will be less. Yep, yep. Yeah, so the the Turks are really quite an interesting set of people, and I actually began to pick interest in the Turkic speaking people when I was studying about Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, his achievements in modernizing the Turkish country after the First World War ended in the year 1918. Mustafa Kemal was actually a figure that, you know, motivates. Yeah, wow, nice to know, nice to know, nice to know a student too, like me, who reading ABC, you know, and counting one, two, three. Uh, yeah, yeah. So Mustafa Kemal actually was a nice figure, and and after studying about this guy, this gentleman, I think I picked a lot of interest to study more about the Turkish history. And although I won't say that I've studied it enough, but I'm still studying it. Anything that has to do with the human history is quite interesting. So I think I found my way out here in the open. Yeah, some minutes ago or some hours ago, a few hours ago, the rain was falling. You can see the sky is a bit clear now, and the sun is about to come out. But I think we're safe without the rain for some time now. So, um, I was talking about the Jewish autonomous region. Yeah, so I later discovered that that Jewish autonomous region. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, silly. Teodoro, Teodoro, Teodoro. Yeah. So, and also Italian. Yes. Turkey. Yeah, Turkey, and especially the region occupied by the Turks today is a place that has a long history globally. That territory, throughout the known history, had been occupied by different civilizations, and the last one that occupied it before the Turks was the Greek, which on Tuesday, 29th of May 1453, it moved over to the Turks after the War of Constantinople, and since then, the Turkish territory had been a melting pot of different civilizations, um, Western, European, Asian, Eastern, all meeting at Constantinople, all meeting in Turkey. And when you look at genetically, when you look at Turkey genetically, you see that the people have more, they have a lot of mixture, admixture with European blood type, and also with South, with the Levantine, the Levant rather, the admixture with the Levant, especially, um, you know, Arabs, Jews, old Hittites, and then the Slavic. I don't know. I don't know, but the Turkic people, the Turkic blood type is should be the majority. Yeah, yeah. And also speaking about Italy, the Italian language, you look at it with the Spanish language and the the Portuguese, Galician, Occitan, Piedmontese. Although Piedmontese, I found out that the Italian government sees it as a dialect of Italian. And Italy itself, if you study the history of Italy, you discover that Italy, since the fall of Rome, had been um, kind of divided into different kingdoms, many kingdoms, so many, until Victor Emmanuel became the king of Italy in the 19th century. And the only country or the only Italian territories that didn't join the Union were San Marino and the Vatican. Although it was in the year 1929 that I think 1929 or thereabouts that the Vatican was given the status of you know, like a special status. I don't know. Oh, I forgotten. I've read it a long time ago. Yeah. So, and if one is able to speak Italian, um, speaking Spanish, I think would be much more easy than when one has no idea about any of the two. Yeah. And I discovered that uh, before before the formation of, or before the discovering of, or should I say before these dialects of Latin, which would later become these national languages of the southern European countries like Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, before they became official languages, um, the people of those regions used to speak Celtic languages. Yeah, Celtic languages. Like in the case of France, in northern France, there was the mighty Frankish Empire, um, founded by, is it Patel or thereabouts, or but um, it was Charlemagne who later established, um, made the empire, what it became in the year 800 when he became um, the the emperor of the Frankish Empire. And and down south of France there were the dialects of Gaul, um, like Celtic dialects, including Breton. But most of those dialects later on ceased to exist, and the pidgin forms later became the languages we have today, the the, the Latin, the Romance languages we have today. Yeah. So when one wonders also, why would a Romance language like Romanian be spoken far in Eastern Europe instead of Southern or Western Europe? And then you study about the history of how the Latin language reached that very part of the world. You then understand, yeah, yeah, conquest, and relations with the Slavic speaking people there in Eastern Europe. And the isolation of Dacia, or is it Dacia or Dacia? It's spelled Dacia. Yeah. So that very territory later became Romania we have today, and also the Turkish Ottoman Empire expanded into Eastern Europe, and you have elements of the Turkish language in Romanian, and the countries or the languages spoken in the countries around the Balkans. Yeah, so so also we have the Hungarians, um, who speak an Uralic language more related to Latvian also, um, but now distantly related or distantly located, all part of movements, conquest and all that. Yeah. So, and then we have also the case of Africa. Um, like I speak a language called Tiak, and this very language is classified as a Niger Congo language, and the Niger Congo languages are actually the most widely spoken languages here in sub-Sahara Africa, and you know we have also the Nilo-Saharan languages in the central parts of Africa, and then we have the Afro-Asiatic languages in the northern part of Africa, including Ethiopia, northern Nigeria, and places like Sudan, um, and amongst the Niger Congo speaking languages in Africa here, the one that is most widely spoken is the Swahili language. I don't know how many of you know about the Swahili language. Yeah, anyone? Like myself, I tried in time past to learn a word or two about the Swahili language, but um, I stopped halfway. I was using Duolingo and you know language learning apps to learn it, um, but I have not been consistent about it. But I I really study you know different languages all at the same time, and not devoting my entire time to a single language. And currently, I think apart from English, um, I can be able to speak and understand up to two other languages. Yeah. So um, silly, and my friends in China or Japan. Sorry, I can't read the pinyin. Um, um, I wanted to be able to read your name, but I can't, practically can't at the moment. And Zidane and El Jockey and Ellen and Pau, and you know so I would want you to also share your knowledge too. um do you have any experience with languages? How many languages do you speak? And which language do you think are more easy to understand? Um, Maybe we can make this like a poll, and let's see. Maybe we have one poll. What language do you think is easiest to study or to learn? Yeah, what languages apart from English, um, like outside of English, outside of English, what languages do you think are easiest to learn? Um, Maybe we can have two options, mm, or let's have this without an option. Yes. So, what languages do you think are easiest to learn? Like, some may say that, well, I don't know, Swedish. I don't know, because outside of English, um, a language I understand among, or I can be able to say is a bit easy as an English speaker. Um, Maybe French or German, but the only difficulty, so to say, about the German language is the definite articles, the der, the die, the das, and the knowledge about how to use, when to use the der, the die, and the das. At least when you have an idea about if a word is a male or a masculine word, and if it is a feminine word, and if it is a neutral word, then you'll be able to know which definite article to use. But how do you know a word is masculine or feminine? It's not as if the words carry, long hair. Um, they don't carry long hair. They don't carry, feminine features or masculine features that you would see and say this word is a masculine or feminine. Except those words, they have to do with human beings, like the word man. You know that man is masculine because it represents a man, and then you assign dear to it, dear man, and a word that has to do strictly with females, like Frau or Fräulein, then you know that such a word is supposed to go with the definite article D, or a word that has to do with a child or a non-living thing, then you know that that very word has to do with the definite article das. So you say the child, then you know it's going to be das Kind, kindergarten. We know kindergarten in English. Translating it directly from German, it becomes like a child, or a child garden, or children garden, you know. So I think as an English speaker, a language that I can see is quite close to English, apart from the English dialects or the Anglish related dialects like Scottish, like Scots English, or is this just called Scots? Um, I think German or Dutch or Flemish, these languages are quite related to English. And apart from the definite articles, which are more than one, unlike English, I think the Germanic languages are closest and more understanding or understandable, um, apart from French. And look at one area where French has a big advantage. Most English words come from the French language. We have a lot of words ending with sion, 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 um, or shon, shon, shon in English, like communication in place of communication or communication. We have communication, just a difference in pronunciation, but the word is basically the same thing, same spelling. And you think about any other word, you know that you can be able to guess it. Apart from translation, translation is not translation. Translation instead is traduction, and I don't know why it is traduction. So why is it not translation? I think there's a story behind that, and I think um, these languages um, are really quite heartwarming to learn. And guess what? I also discovered a number of words in Latin and in French also that have similarities with words here spoken in Nigeria, especially northern Nigeria. There's a language called the Hausa language. The Hausa language is spoken in the northern part of Nigeria and in the southern part of the Republic of Niger or Niger. Now, there's a word, like the word mortus. Mortus has to do with death in Latin. Um, that very word can be in different forms like mortem, mortus, mort, you know, the basic root word is mot, I think MOT, and the equivalent of that very word is mutu. Mutu is actually the word spoken or used in the house language to mean to die. And there's also another word that I discovered which has gone out of my mind right now. I've forgotten about it. I've forgotten it. You know, there are, yeah, it has to do with numbers. It has to do with counting. Like, uh, is it the word three? The word three, three. When you look at the English language, three starts with the letter T, and even though German or English is a Germanic language, three in German is dry or drei. So it still has to do with the TD um, consonant sound. And over here, in most Niger Congo languages, the word for three, they resemble the English word for three. Um, like a number of languages in the Niger Congo family, the Yoruba language, for example, in the Yoruba language, the word for three is eta, ETA, or meta, like Meta Wiki or Meta of Facebook. So you find the T there, and actually the air before the ta, that's what makes it eta or meta. The root word there is ta, and the me or air prefix is just an addition, it's just an affix. So you find out that the root sounds of number three in most Niger Congo languages are starting with T or maybe D. Like in the Tiap language in central Nigeria, the word for three is a tat. So the is just a prefix or an affix, just like eta or eta, just like the in eta in the Yoruba language. So you still find out that the root word starts with T, ta, and then the Igbo language spoken in southeastern part of Nigeria, the word for three is ato. Ato. You take away the R, which is also an affix. You have the root word to, that is another T sound, and you continue into Eastern Africa, Swahili. Um, well, I don't think I know what number three is in Swahili, but I'm very sure you find similarities in these languages, especially having to do with number three. And um, even of these languages, the number two, number three, number four, they are usually similar, very similar. Like if I'm to make a count of one, two, three, four, or let me start from two and end at four, language by language. Let me start with the Yoruba language. In Yoruba, one, two is AG, is spelled EJI or Meiji, MEJI. The E beginning the word or the ME beginning the word is just a suffix. It's just a prefix. Sorry, I've been using suffix instead of prefix. It's supposed to be a noun class. A noun class is a word you add to a root to make it a noun. But in the case of these numbers, I don't know, are they nouns or adjectives? Most times numbers are adjectives, but sometimes they become nouns. So the first part of it is the air, and then the other parts of the numbers are the roots. So two in Yoruba is eji, and three is eta, and then four is efa, okan, eji, eta, arun. Sorry, I messed up the whole thing in my head right now. I think arun is five, and erin is four. So in the Tiap language, TYAP, spoken in central Nigeria, two is a fang, three is a tat, and four is a nine. And then in the Edo language spoken in the old Benin Kingdom in the southern part of Nigeria, in Edo, two is Eva, three is Eta, Eha, and then four is Ene, Okpa, Eva, Eha, Ene. So you find out that these words are quite similar. And then the Igbo language, two is Abo, three is Ato, and four is Ano. So what can you hear that is quite similar among these words or these counting these numbers in these Nigerian languages? That I just recited. To me, I think the number four is quite similar to most of them, except the Yoruba language that has, or rather, the number three. Well, if you say three in Edo, Edo is Eha for three, but in Igbo is Ato for three, and in Yoruba is Eta or Meta and then in Tiap is Tat, and then four in Tiap is Onai, and in Igbo is Ano, and in Edo is Ene. Sorry, we have the and the A. The is pronounced or written with a dash on with a dot under it. You know, it's written with letter E, but for you to pronounce the you have to put a dot and you have to open your mouth eh, like you are pronouncing the English word man. Is man the right word or the right example? Man, I don't know. So you know, so these numbers actually are very similar. Number three and number four amongst a good number of Nigerian languages and a number of Niger Congo languages, and also amongst Indo European languages. Um, in in Southeast Asia, unfortunately, I don't know how to count in any language, but I hope to learn how to count in Korean, how to count in Japanese, how to count in Mandarin, Chinese, and how to count hopefully even in Hindi, in Malay or Malayu, Bahasa Malayu, Bahasa um, Bahasa Indonesia, which other language again in Southeast Asia, in Tagalog, Cebuano, in Telugu, Vietnamese, in Thai, Luo, Lao, that's Khmer, and in most languages in Southeast Asia and Russian too. In German, I think I can be able to count in German and also in French and in Spanish and in Latin, um, and then South American languages and North American languages like what you call it, Canada, Cree, um, um, Nahuatl, Nahuatl, that's Mexican language. You know, these languages are very interesting. Um, when you hear the sounds of the languages, you would wish these words just come into your brain, and when you open your mouth, you'll be able to communicate with anybody from any part of the world without the need for interpretation or translation. And I think something about languages is when you have the interest in learning it and you devote your time to studying it, then you'll be able to learn that very language without hassle or without any difficulty. Even if there are difficulties, um, because you have the interest in learning it, you tend to surmount it very easily. And something about languages again is when you are able to speak as many languages and when you are able to communicate with a people in a language they understand, then you'll be able to gain their admiration more than when you use a language that is not their own language. Like I want to speak with a Korean person, and I speak in Korean, in the Korean language. I know that I would have more acceptance than when I speak in a foreign language, and and but but there's something that I don't understand. Like there was a time I tried to speak the German language with some German ladies, but it seems, each time I try, they switch to English, you know. So I don't know why, but I think it's also common amongst languages here in Africa. Um, like you may want to speak a particular language which you are not so fluent in it, and in the process of trying to speak it, you find out that the person tries to reply you um, with another language, like in English or any other language, and instead of accepting the way you speak it, maybe the person wants to help you out or something, which is not so nice. So I only have a single advice, for those of us who have um, people trying to speak their languages. um, when you see someone trying to speak in your language, um, please don't try to speak in another language. Help the person out in the pronunciation and ensure that the person is able to speak up, to speak the language. Add something to the knowledge of the person rather than switching to another language which is common, which the person understands. You know, when you speak that very language that the person is trying to speak with the person, you see that you encourage the person to speak it, and you know what you're doing. You're putting more courage on in the person's psyche, and the person gets encouraged in speaking that very language. But switching to another language, you see, um, someone can get discouraged, in the process. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for making it a day with me. And I hope that sometime after today we'll be able to meet again, maybe another time. And what do I say? Let me say bye bye in different languages I can be able to understand right now. So in Italian, ciao, and in Spanish, let me say adios, adios, and in French or in Spanish, hasta la vista, later. Adios, bye bye. Um, Portuguese, adios, adios. Uh, is adios for the dead only, or those who are dead? You Hasta la vista, um, au revoir, au revoir, and auf Wiedersehen. Bye bye. See you another time. Bye. Yeah.